Hello, my loves. Happy Friday. Today's going to be a quick lesson because you've already learned everything you need to know about how to find the percentage of a number. Here's our standard. I can understand place value and recognize that in a multi-digit number, a digit in one place represents 10 times as much as the digit to the right. So you guys know this. You know that if a 1 is in the ones place, it's worth 10 times less than a 1 in the tens place. And you know that if it's in the hundreds place, then it's 10 times bigger than the tens place. You guys know that already. And we also know that percent means parts out of 100. So our objective for today is to show that we can find the percent of a number. And man, let me tell you, it is super simple. Our essential question, how can you find the percent of a number? You're going to be answering that very soon. And in fact, you actually already know this answer. Our lead measures, we're going to multiply percent. That's how we find the percent of a number. We multiply. And then we're going to practice with Mega Math, and then we've got some IXL practice problems. And please don't forget to do those 2 iReady teacher assigned lessons and get those 50 minutes in, okay? For some of you, I've turned off your regular path of iReady because you need to catch up. Get those iReady teacher assigned lessons done, okay? So even if you hit your 50-minute mark, that's just for attendance. Guys, remember, unless you are on green, you need to do 60 or 75 minutes. And last I checked, only 2 of you are on green. So make sure that you are not stopping at 50 minutes. Make sure that you're going above and beyond because it doesn't help your grade, and it doesn't help me, and it doesn't help mom. It helps you, and it's getting you ready for 6th grade. If you're not at 6th grade level on iReady, then that means you've got some work to do. Because time is ticking, guys. We only have a few more weeks of 5th grade left. You want to be ready for 6th grade. All right, let's talk about the percent of a number. And forgive me if my annotations are very wobbly. I actually sprained my wrist, and it's very, very uncomfortable. So I might have to write a little bit larger than usual, and I usually do write messy, you know that. So it might be even more messier than usual, but I'm going to try and make it nice and clear for you. So we're talking about finding the percentage of a number. Percentage of a number. Now you guys already know that if I wanted to find half of 10, that means what I'm really doing is I'm doing 1/2 times 10, right? And then I turn that 10 into a fraction, and I simply multiply my numerators, and I get 10, and I multiply my denominators, and I get 2. And now I have a division problem that says 10 divided by 2. And we know what 10 divided by 2 is, don't we? It's 5. So my answer, 1/2 of 10 is 5. So you guys know how to do that. You know how to find a fraction of a whole number. What if you wanted to find, let's see, 25 hundredths of 100? Why not? You guys know that that means we need to find 25 hundredths of 100. So we simply multiply. You could multiply by doing this, right? We can do that. So let's see. 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 1 is 5. Now I'm in my tens place. 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 1 is 2. And because I'm multiplying, I need to count my decimal places. Oh, let me add first. Oh my goodness. 2500. And now I'm going to count my decimal places. 1, 2. That means my answer has to have 1, 2, and my decimal goes there. So my answer is 25. 25 hundredths of 100 equals 25. So we could do the math, or if you remember, if we're multiplying, boop, boop, and this one's times 100, 25, what? What does this mean? 25 hundredths, right? 25 hundredths of 100, I can multiply. 25 times 100 is 2500, and 100 times 1, boop, 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 right? And 2500 divided by 100, cancel, cancel. There's your answer again. So I can do it that way. I can do it yet another way, because I know that 25 100ths can be reduced by 25. Reduced by 25. And 25 divided by 25 is 1, and this is 4. So look how much easier it's going to be now. 1/4 times 100, well, hello, that's 100 over 4. That's 100 divided by 4. And we know 100 divided by 4 is yet again 25. So all of these different strategies that we could use to get the same answer. And the same thing happens if we want to do 25% of 100. 25% of 100. Guys, remember, percent means out of 100. So I can take this and turn it into a fraction. And we know that of means to multiply and bring down that 100. 25 hundredths times 100. This needs to be a fraction too. 2500 over 100. And when I divide, I get 25. It's exactly the same. You see what I mean when I told you you already knew how to do it? You sure did. So here I have a question for you. If I wanted, whoop, I don't know what I was thinking on that one. Go back. Okay. If I wanted to find 50% of 50. 50% of 50. My first step, let's turn this 50% into either a fraction or a decimal. Now I could put 0.50 or 0.5. And no matter what, it's still going to be of, means to multiply, and it's going to be a 50 here and a 50 there. Now you can use whatever strategy you like. If you wanted to multiply, we would turn that into a fraction. If you want to multiply your fractions, 0.5 times 50. Either way, you're going to get that same answer. 0 times everything is 0, but now we're in the tens place, sorry. 5 times 5 is 25, regroup. 5 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 25. And of course, how many decimals do you count? 1. So we're going to put 1 there. There's my answer, 25. 50% of 50 is 25. And if I wanted to do it with my fractions, 50 times 50. Ooh, how about that one? What's 50 times 50? Well, 0, that's a 0, and that's 25. So it's 2,500 over 1 times 100 is 100. And I could totally do this division problem if I wanted to. 100 goes to 2, nope. Goes into 25, nope. Goes into 250, yep. It'll be 200. And when I subtract, I've got 50. Bring it down, and then it's 5. So I can do that long division, or I could say canceling, canceling, and it becomes 25 over 1, which is 25. Or you could remember, boys and girls, 50% means half. What's half of 50? 25. So you can even use mental math strategies. All of these things you know how to do. Let's do another one. Let's do a challenging one. I want you to get a piece of paper and a pencil. Are you ready? Let's find 17% of 30. So let's say that you want to buy a pair of shoes that are $30 and they're on sale, 17% off. So we need to find out how much money you're going to save, 17% of 30. So with your pencil, turn this into a multiplication expression. Did you get, oh, where'd my pen go? Did you get 17/100ths times 30? Or maybe you got 17/100ths times 30. Either way you did it would be correct. And now all we have to do is do the math. This becomes a 1. 17 times 30. Let me use my scrap paper over here. 17 times 30. Put my 0 there. 3 times 7 is 21. 3, 4, 5. 510 over 100 times 1 is 100. Awesome. So what's 510 divided by 100? 510 divided by 100. Well, let's see. It can't go here. Nope, nope, nope. Can't go here. Nope, nope, nope. But it can go into 510 5 times. 5 times 100. But now look what I have left, a 10. Now, what we would have done in 4th grade, remainder 10. What we would have done at the beginning of the school year, we would have said 10 over 100, which reduces to 1/10, right? It would reduce to 1/10. But we're talking here about percents, and what goes along with percents are decimals. So let's, oh, I got an eraser there. I don't want an eraser. Let's put a decimal there. Let's put my decimal there. Bring this down. Oh, look how easy that is. 1, 100, 0. Well, there's my answer. 17% of 30 is 5 1/10. But if we were talking about money, then it would be $5.10. That's how that would work. If we wanted to multiply over here, we would say 0.17 times 30. Put my 0 there. Got a 21 with a 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And now I'm going to count my decimal places. 1, 2, 1, 2. Same exact answer, 5 1/10. If I'm talking about money, then it would be $5.10. Which means if my shoes were on sale, this is how much money I would save. It's not how much money my shoes would be, it's how much I would save. So my second step would be to say, well, if my shoes are $30 and I'm saving $5.10, now we can find out how much money I need to pay for my shoes. 0 minus 0, got it. What about 0 minus 1? Can't do it. I come over here, and what I could do is I could borrow from this 3, turn this into a 10, borrow this and turn this into a 9. Or I could say, hello, I'm going to borrow from 30 and make it 29. And then that becomes 10. Look, I just saved myself a step. 9, decimal, and 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24. My shoes now only cost me $24.90. But of course, now I have to find out the tax, don't I? Oh my goodness, so much to do in order to find out how much something costs. So here I am today at today's lesson, and you'll see, look at this, MegaMath, compute sales tax. It's almost as if this was planned all along, wink, wink. I'm going to enable my Flash player. And here we go.
Hi, I'm Penny.
Hi, Penny.
Welcome to
Click.
In these questions, you will find the sales tax for an item.
What is the decimal value of the sales tax rate?
All right, what are they asking? Here's the sales tax rate. They want to know what is the decimal value. And if you remember, Percentage means parts out of 100. So we need to find which decimal says 5 parts out of 100. How about this one? 0, 0 tenths, 0 hundredths, 5 thousandths. Does 5 thousandths say 5 out of 100? Nope. And if you forget, you can always look here. Look, this looks like the 1 of the 100 and then the 2 zeros. That's how I remember that percentage means out of 100. How about this one? 0 ones, 0 tens, and 5 hundredths. Does this match this? Yes, it does. This says 5 hundredths. Let me double check and make sure these don't either. This says 5 in the ones place. That's 500%. No way. And this is a 5 in what place? What place value is that? It's the tenths place, right? So that says 5 tenths. This doesn't say tenths, this says hundredths. So this is the right answer. Let's go.
Fantastic.
That was my Joseph impression. Did I sound like Joseph? He does it so much better than me. All right, let's go next.
Multiply to find the sales tax owed.
All right, so now we're multiplying to find the sales tax. They chose to multiply with decimals, but you guys know another strategy, don't you? We could use fractions if we wanted to. But the reason that they're using decimals is because this number, 62 and 40 hundredths, or $62.40, it already has a decimal. So we might as well keep going with that trend, and let's multiply with our decimals. So I've got here 5 times 0 is 0. And what's 5 times 4? 5, 10, 15, 20. It's 20. So the 0 goes here. And we're going to regroup that 2 or carry it over. And now it goes from 5 to 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 2 is 12. 2. And then that 1 gets carried over. Now we're ready to go here. 5 times 6, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. It's 30. Don't forget this one, 31. Okay, so all together we have 3 and 1/10, 2 hundredths, 0 thousandths, and 0 ten thousandths. And that's pretty good because when we're talking about money, we stop at the hundredths place because we do not mess around with parts of a penny. You know, in the past, a lot of countries did have parts of a penny. And recently, I think somewhere around the 50s is when England stopped doing their half pennies. So they still had half pennies in your grandparents' time. But now we're only going to pennies. So we have $3.12. Now, what does that answer? The question was how much sales tax. So the shoes are $62.40. And the sales tax is $3.12. We need to add those together, don't we, to find the total amount.
What is the decimal value of the sales tax rate?
Okay, sales tax rate. Remember, percent means parts out of. I'm waiting for you to tell me the answer. Thank you. Parts out of 100. This says parts out of 100. This says 8 total pieces. That's 8 holes. This says 8 parts out of how many? Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. That's 8 parts out of 1,000. 1, 2, 3 zeros in 1,000, right? And this says 8 parts out of 10 because it's 8 tenths. So listen to that. 8 parts out of 100, 8 hundredths. 8 ones. 8 thousandths means 8 parts out of 1,000. And 8 tenths means 8 parts out of 10. Perfect. So now your next step is to multiply those two together to find out how much tax will be. And then if you want to know the final amount, like how much you have to pay to take those rollerblades home, you would have to add the total amount plus the tax. Awesome. So what I want you to do is I want you to go on to Mega Math and do some of those problems. There's not too many. I think it's somewhere like 8 or 9 problems. Use paper and pencil, please, and get those answers in. And then if you have time, go to IXL for some extra practice. Now, you don't have to only do the types of math that I put a star next to. I just did that so you would know which ones we're working on this week, which skills we're working on this week. You could go on to any skill you want for extra practice. And in fact, this month, when I signed you guys up again, I added language arts and science and social studies. So you can practice any skill that you want in any of these areas. All right, let's go down to I think it was percents. I think it was percents. Let's see. Go down, go down, go down, go down. Here we go. There it is, percent of a number. Okay, get your pencil and paper ready. Okay, let me get my pencil going here. All right, what is 40% of 55? We've got 40% of 55. You have 2 strategies. Boop, 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 boop. Strategy 1 is to find 40/100ths times 55. And I'm going to put the 1 because I'm going to begin with the end in mind. If I'm dealing with fractions, I need to put this in a fraction. Or you could say it's going to be 40/100ths times 55. So I could have my answer here or my answer there. Let's go ahead and answer both of those. 40 times 55. Oh my goodness, I need some scrap paper. Thank goodness you have paper in front of you. If not, you need to pause this video and go get some. All right, put my 0 there. 4 times 5 is 20, regroup. 4 times 5 is 20, plus that 2 is 22. So now I have 2200 over 100. Which means all I have to do is cancel and cancel, and look what I have here. 22 over 1. And we know 22 over 1 is 22. I could also do that here with my decimals. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 4 is 20. Now I'm in my tens place, put my 0. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 4 is 20. Add them up, and I get 2200. But now I have to count my decimal places. 1, 2, 1, 2. There's my decimal. So look at my answer. It's 22. 22 is my answer. So no matter which strategy you choose, you're going to be able to find the same answer. So clear that. Let me get my mouse, and it's 22. Correct. Okay, pencil ready. 70% of 70. Use whatever strategy you want. Pause the video and solve this problem. All right, I'm going to use 70 out of 100 times 70 over 1. And look what I'm going to do. I'm going to make my life easier. Because I see a 0 and a 0, I'm going to cancel those out, which means now I have 7/10. because basically I just divided this by 10 and divided this by 10 to get 7/10. Because look, now I can do 7 times 7, 49. 7 times 7/10, 49/10. Over 10. Look, watch. Whoop, 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 whoop. Look at my answer. Did you get 49? I hope so. 49. Awesome. Okay, here we are at 80% of 85. So that says 80% times 85. Go ahead and pause the video and get your answer and check with me, and let's see if we get the same answer. All right, so I'm going to choose to use fractions. And I know that 80% means 80 out of 100 times 85 over 1, right? So here I need to multiply 80 times 85. 85 times 80. Now 8 times 5 is 40, and regroup. 8 times 8. What if I forgot 8 times 8? I could use that hashtag helper, right? Let's say I didn't remember that 8 times 8 is, I almost gave you the answer. But you know what I do know? 8 plus 8 is 16. And 16 plus 8 is 24. And 24 plus 8 is 32. And 32 plus 8 is 40. And 40 plus 8 is 48, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 times 8 is going to be 48 plus 1 more. It's going to be 56, right? And 56 plus 8 is going to be 64. Is that right? And then 64 plus 8 is going to be 72, because we know that 8 times 9 is 72. So 8 times 8 is going to be 64. Sometimes we might forget our multiplication, but we can always use these helpful reminders. Now the hashtag helper is just another way of helping us line up those skip counting numbers. In the past, what I used to do was this. Every time I add 8 and I go in a straight line, and I would write 8 times 1, 8 times 2, 8 times 3, 8 times 4, 8 times 5. I did that back in 3rd grade when I was teaching you guys. But here, this hashtag helper that Ms. Spalding shared with us, that she learned from another teacher, because we can all learn new things even as adults. I really like this, so I'm going to stick with this one. 64, 65, 66, 67, 68. So we've got 6,800. Over 100 times 1, 100. So now if I wanted to, I could say, oh, what's 6,800 divided by 100? And I say, oh, it's going to be 6 over here, because that's 600. Subtract, bring this down, and it's an 8, because that makes 800. 68. Or cancel, cancel, and there's my 68 over 1, which equals 68. Did you get that answer? So I'm going to put a wrong answer here, because what I love is that they explain to me. Look at that. 1% is 1 part out of 100. 1% is equal to 1 out of 100, or 1/100th. Proportions can be used to solve percent problems. So look, we've got the part and the whole. Percent, 100%. If the whole is 40 and the percent is 50, ooh, look, they're using algebra. I love it. Let n represent the part. Look at this. They've got n. How many parts out of 40 equals 50 parts out of 100? So what they did is they said, oh, well, 100 times n is the same as 40. I'm getting confused. Oh my goodness. This is confusing me. Are you getting this? 100n is 50 times 40. 100n is 2,000. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Miss Allison, I think, I don't know. I like mine way better. But let me see. Maybe they have a different one. You could also find the answer by writing and solving an equation. This is the part that I do. N equals 50% times 40. Isn't that what we just did? 50% of 40. See what they did there? Let me show you here. 50% of 40. This means to multiply. And I'm so glad they did this because next year in 6th grade, you're going to see something like that. And you know what that means? That means n times 17. Or you'll see it like that. Now that's not a decimal because a decimal is going to be on the line, 0.17. If it's on the line 0, if it's up in the air, that says 0 times 17. Okay, so that's another reason why you need to be very careful with your handwriting, because if you put that decimal up there, they might think you're multiplying. So I'm glad they did this. They're saying 50% times 40. Now we're not going to multiply percents, we're going to turn it into a decimal. 5/10 times 40, and they did that because 5/10 is equivalent to 50/100. Isn't it equivalent? They're the same. 50 divided by 10, 100 divided by 10 is 5/10. That's why they're equivalent. Or, shloop, there you go. And then you multiply them together. 5 times 5 is 25, right? And, what did I do? Oh, I'm not supposed to multiply those. I'm showing equivalent. I almost caught myself. Daisy, were you watching? Oh, you would have caught that for sure. So this says 5/10 times 40 over 1. There we go. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 tens, and then 10. So my answer would be 20. So I can do it by multiplying decimals or multiplying fractions. I can also do it this way by cross multiplying, and I'm not ready for that. Maybe next year. Oh my goodness, that was tough. Okay, 10% of 30. 10% of 30. 10% times 30. We can turn this 10% into a decimal, which is tenths, right? Times 30. Now think about what they're asking here. Remember, we use our words. This right here says tenths times 30, right? Tenths times 30. So what they're asking us is to multiply these two numbers together. 0.1 times 30. 3 times 1 is 3, done. But now I've got one space, so I need to get my decimal. So my answer is going to be 3, right? But guys, remember when we talked about multiplying decimals and we're multiplying 1. See how there's 1 decimal? We just move it over 1. Our answer would have been 3. But if you forgot that, what other strategy could you use? You could multiply decimals, or you could say 10 out of 100 times 30 over 1. 30 times 10 is 300 over 100. And how many times is that? 300 divided by 100. Oh, the answer is 3. So many different strategies. And they all work fabulously well. And the great part is you guys get to pick which one you want to do. Clear. All right. I want you to get busy practicing finding the fraction, finding the percent of another, which is the fraction. Because we know that percents are a fraction of a whole, right? and also a decimal, which is a fraction. All right, guys, have a wonderful Friday. Get all those assignments done. Do some extra for that big, beautiful brain of yours, and I will see you next week. Okay, love you. Bye-bye.